Hi, everyone. Welcome to eLearnChat, where it's all about learning and sometimes getting out to Vegas, maybe. I am joined today by Dr. Susan Nash, and we're going to talk a little bit about our trip about a week and a half ago to DevLearn, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the Google Classroom in the belly of the mothership. Hi, Susan. How you doing?
Hi there. I can't wait. This is going to be so interesting and fun.
That sounds good. All right, here we go. This show is sponsored by Talking Vids, corporate video, e-learning, enterprise-wide development, online interviews, multimedia development, and more. Visit us at www.talkingvids.com. And we are back, and about a week and a half ago, Leslie and I flew down to Las Vegas and had a pretty good time. It was a nice show. It was about 3,000 something people. I don't know what the actual number was. Maybe 3,500, maybe a little bit less, maybe more. It felt pretty crowded, at least at the show. It was held at the Mirage. It's the last show they're going to be doing there because the Mirage is shutting down for a while. They're doing renovations. And the show had quite a few more booths than what we saw last time. Now, we haven't been there in 3 years. So for us, this was, let's go back and see DevLearn. It's been a while. And it looked very similar. So if you've been to one, you've been to a lot of them. It had a lot more booths this time. I think they were up to 150 booths. That's quite a bit in the e-learning space. One thing I noticed that was missing, and this was a big one, a lot of the large vendors like Adobe wasn't there, which surprised me because they've always been there. So Adobe pulled out, maybe they pulled out last year too. I think that's what I heard. So Adobe's not at least going to the e-learning shows that much anymore. Maybe. I'm not sure, but at least at this show, they weren't, which is where they probably would be because it's a developer show technically, and Captivate has that new version out, and they've got the old classic that's still being updated, and so they were missing. iSpring was missing. They're in Russia, and with all the turmoil going on in that side of the world, maybe they decided, let's just stay home. I don't know. I haven't talked to them in the last few months, so I haven't heard anything. Who else wasn't there that was big? Oh, TechSmith didn't show up, though I think they were there for a pre-conference. Yeah. And I'm trying to think, anybody else that was pretty large that usually goes to the shows?
How about Canvas or some of the learning platforms?
I didn't see any of the Canvas. I don't think was there. That tends to be, isn't Canvas more educational?
Yeah, so this is more for corporate.
Yeah, you don't see too much. Mostly it's corporate at the show. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think if there was even anything who was educational. I don't recall. Might have been. We didn't get to walk every single row. It was pretty large, and we stopped at a couple of shows at booths and talked a little too much. We had a good time with some of the people. Hey, let me show you a little video of what we took down there. It'll give you kind of an idea of what what it looked like. Let's go.
I love this.
So this is just randomly walking around the show, and took them with the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and unfortunately they haven't been color adjusted, I think. So there was one person somewhere that screamed out Hitler. We don't know why, but we took it out. I didn't hear it when it happened, but afterwards I went, what's that doing there? So doesn't this look like a typical trade show to you?
Yeah. I feel at home. I like the idea of having
Are we dancing to a new beat? A little loud, but okay. We'll live. I think that's enough. Yeah, you get the idea. It was noisy. We killed it with the bad music. It just went on too loud. I have to talk to our video editor when he gets back.
You know what I thought it was? I thought, Google will create these little videos, reels for you with their AI. If you do Google, but that was actual video rather than just a slideshow.
Yep.
But they'll put cheesy music.
Well, no, we actually have some more cheesy music. Let's play the pictures that we took. Some of them.
But what's amazing? A quick question.
Yeah.
Do they have technical sessions?
Hold on. Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Did they have technical sessions as well?
Oh, they had tons. They did.
Like that? Yeah.
They did. Little Ken Burns effect. If you see anybody you know, just wave. They won't see you, but bossa nova, this music, I guess. I don't know. Okay, so there you go. A little bit of the sights and sounds ruined by loud music, but
well, welcome to. I mean, that's so interesting because a couple of things that jump out. I don't think they sold as many exhibit spaces as they expected to because everything's really spaced out, big wide corridors.
They did have wide corridors, but that actually filled up the whole place.
Well, that's why it did. That's why they did.
Yeah, we talked with Dave Kelly,
they could have compressed it and had more, but maybe not.
They kept it pretty wide open. I think the one good thing about that is you could navigate quickly any which way you wanted to without having to go to the end of an aisle like they've done before. Yeah. So I like that. I like the layout better the way they did it this time because, again, you don't have to go all the way around and come all the way back.
Well, of course, they the consumer likes it. The show producer doesn't because they want to squeeze in more.
Right. Yep, that's true.
And the other thing that jumps out to me is that this is they're all different kinds of shows. And so some are for not-for-profit, some are academic and research institute, and some are totally commercial. This is clearly commercial, and they have the beautiful, beautiful booths, expensive booths.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's mostly a developer show and mostly e-learning, maybe some animations and other things. There were quite a few range of vendors. I was surprised at how many localization vendors were there coming from India and other places. Quite a few. I don't think I've ever seen that many at a show. There were quite a few developers. I'd say the developer booths were from all around the world. Quite a few from India. There were people from, I know some Canadians that were there. So it was a nice mix. The developer booths looked good. People were showing things, and we saw some old friends that we haven't seen in a while. That's always nice to see. And I'd say it was fairly busy. One thing funny about the show is a lot of times people stay in the classrooms more than they actually do come out to the shows. So
I
I
mean,
don't
the
think at any
technical.
one point we had 3,000 people in there. I think it
Oh,
was,
no, no, no.
no,
Maybe the icebreaker. Did they have an icebreaker or a
they did.
networking reception?
They did
Yeah,
have
that's
a
where you.
reception. The first, I think they had something, they had a keynote until about, I think, 10 in the morning the first day. And then they had some sort of breakfast together for everybody. And then they went to, on, let's see, was it Wednesday, which was the first day of the show start, they had, um, oh, what do you call those things? Just
Icebreaker,
an
networking
icebreaker
reception.
kind of thing to get to a reception, if you will, at about, I think it was 5:30, and booze came out, so everybody's fun. I remember when we worked the booths quite a bit. I've worked booths with Adobe and iSpring, and we've helped in some other booths, and we've had our own booths in these places. That's the part a lot of the vendors hated the most, because everybody comes by and they're like, I don't want to see what they drink too much, so you don't quite
Oh,
get.
well,
There's a lot of that. We've seen it more than once, and
there's
a lot of the
something
vendors
called.
we've worked with just kind of go, ugh, not the most productive, but it is fun to meet some of the people there as they're walking around and doing their thing. But I'd say on the whole, it was probably a successful show.
Oh yeah, just from looking at the video. I mean, when you did it, and I don't know if it was morning or afternoon. Two things that I'm sure that they were not.
After it was like right after lunch.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. So a couple of things that come to mind. Um, they must have had a really good technical session because there wasn't much traffic, and
Yeah.
the vendors are probably a little bit upset about that. Um, usually people will bait the attendees by having 30-minute breaks and putting
Hmm.
the food in
And
the
and they
exhibit
did have
hall,
that. They did have that. They had snacks there. So if you wanted a snack, you had to go to the convention area. I mean, to the
exhibit hall.
yeah, the exhibit hall. And
Yeah.
though that doesn't guarantee traffic, it just guarantees hungry
No.
people who eat and leave. So,
Well,
but that's
maybe,
typical.
but I think also, like to have we found that having you can have an icebreaker right after the launch, the night before it actually starts.
Yeah.
That's not really so great. It's better to have it the first evening, and then you have to have drink tickets and just give people one. And that way, if they want more, they have to pay for it. That way, nobody's going to
Mm.
drink much.
I think that's probably what they do.
Yeah.
But in the old days, they didn't. Not maybe not this
Yeah.
show, but we've been in some shows where went to one Adobe show once when half the people were drunk in the show. It's like, oh gosh. And at night, I think one vendor and one client got into a punching fight or something. There was some fight that they broke up real quickly. That was a long time ago, but yeah, there was a lot of booze flying. Um,
Ew.
they had an open bar, free,
Yeah.
free. So it
Yeah.
was interesting. I think Adobe wasn't too happy with the results of it. Um, but I'd say on the whole, it was a good show. It was well put on, and people seemed to
Yeah.
be enjoying it. The restaurants were crowded around there,
Really.
and the problem is the hotel. You could tell is starting to shut down because restaurants weren't as well managed, or there wasn't a lot of people at the restaurants. Well, there were, but there weren't a lot of waiters or waitresses. It was just sort of busy, big lines sometimes. But on the whole, it was okay. It was okay. The Mirage has never been my favorite hotel, but it's a nice hotel, and at least it doesn't smell like you're going into a smoke pit because they cleaned up all the air. You really can't even tell people are smoking, which is good because it gets pretty
That's
bad. In some of them, it gets bad.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's like, um, well, I guess they just have a lot better filters and micronizers and things. So, question it looked like a lot of emphasis on AI.
Yes, there was a lot of people talking about it. We didn't see too much really different in AI. Mostly it was creating pictures with AI, creating maybe updating scripts or updating objectives and things like that. That's about all we saw.
Hmm.
Didn't see much else at this point. It's still too new. I mean, even the tools are still fairly new in terms of what they can productively produce.
Hmm.
But it was interesting seeing people getting into it. Now that was the buzzword. AI, AI.
Generative
Yes.
AI.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
like the speech enabled and all that. That's
Yeah. People will say, I want a
yeah,
picture of a
that's
dog on the beach with a thunderstorm. And it'll create something sort of like that. So, I mean, that's where we are right now. And there's some stuff that's getting a little more intelligent per se, but most of it's still pattern one equals pattern two. Do something with it.
mm-hmm.
So, so
Yeah,
I thought it was okay for that, but then nobody got in too deep over their heads. At least that's what it looked like
yeah.
on the
Well, I think
AI.
that there's a lot of worry about that. But I think that one really great application of AI, if it can speed it up, is when you have changes in, for example, EPA standards that they're coming up in emissions, so methane
Yeah,
monitoring emissions. So if you can, people have to be compliant. If you can get the new regulations and convert that instantly into some training or quickly into training, then you can beat the market and say, hey, in fact, this is something that Talking Vids could do. You could just get into this quickly, and then people who need to know, and then also tie it in with the equipment, can take it, and everybody in the organization can take it.
right.
And so it doesn't have to be like I have to take a lot of training on phishing attacks and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. Know before, I'm sure you're familiar with them, and things like, oh, bloodborne pathogens,
Right.
that stuff.
Yeah. Yep. Those are fun. um, but anyway, so moving on, you went to visit Google. Oh, by the way, before just to clear up, Susan runs shows. She runs a lot of shows, and they're
Well,
pretty large shows. Some of them 30,000 people, maybe more.
well,
So
I
she's
don't run the one, but I participate, or the organization participates, and I
right.
do run aspects of them, and
Yeah.
sometimes more than the smaller ones, bigger ones. So yeah, I see, and I participate in a lot. It's like that's why I was commenting and making all those comments from an insider perspective.
Yep. Just so you know, she's got a lot of experience in that area, and she's done it internationally, many places. And so, right. So let's talk a little bit about Google. You
Oh
were in
my
the Beast
gosh.
of the Belly in Chicago.
Yeah, the beast and the belly. But it was so interesting. So first of all, I was there because there's a new association called Orphan Well Management Association, and that's part of an environmental effort to plug all these like leaking, polluting wells. And there's some federal funding to help it. And then also there are some other innovative ways to try to pay for it. I mean, one organization that we talked to, like Well Done Foundation, Curtis, they kind of do crowdsourcing. And then there's others that are trying to get carbon credits to sort of like make it possible for people to pay for the plugging. And so here's something was interesting that so Google is interested in like having a lot of the platforms and databases, et cetera. They've been in geothermal for a long time, and you can imagine why, because they've got Google Earth, so it makes
Mm-hmm.
it easy to like georeference everything. So they'd like everybody to use Google platforms and Google Earth, et cetera. So they volunteered to host it. So before I went, I got these emails. And it's sort of like going to like an Oxy or Chevron, where you have to fill out all this stuff. But what was interesting about it is that they did not have anything where you're going to have access to their internet or anything. So you didn't have to fill out a lot of forms, and you didn't have to do almost like a background check, but you just had to fill out some stuff. And then when you got there, it was located in a part sort of west of downtown, not right on the lake, and it's in a place that a lot of buildings are. It used to be kind of industrial, so it's up and coming, and lots of converted stuff, and lots of new buildings, but they're not tall. They're like 5 or well, this was pretty tall though. But anyway, we went to the 10th floor, but it was a converted meat packing plant.
Hmm.
And then you go in and you go up to the person. There's a big G, and you cannot take pictures inside. And then you go and do your QR code on your phone and go up to a kiosk and put it in, and then you register. Then you go up to the receptionist. Receptionist lets you know that your host is coming down to get you. Host comes down, prints out your badge. It's not too different than the building where I am, except we're not this high tech. And then you can see lines, kind of like subway lines, where you have all the different colors, and each Google color is a different thing. Those are supposedly to different business interests or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't say, but it is based out of the colored lines for that are on the floor that look a lot like the subway if you're in New York. And they said it's like the subway in Chicago too. No, I haven't been to that. So then you notice that there are all these like glass doors that lock, that can close and lock. And so essentially they'll only open the doors that go to your pathway. So there's no way. Yeah, there's no way you can enter another floor or another place. I mean, in my building, you can't enter it because you have your card and stuff, and then you like have to be with somebody. But these were so interesting because they could actually lock, and you're almost like in an airlock. So if you're not with somebody, you can be trapped between glass doors, and nobody knows you're there. And
security, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we went down to the first floor where they had the area where you could have meeting rooms. So we left our backpacks there, and then they had like a hydration station, which was water and all sorts of things and juices, and then some little snack items. And then for lunch, they invited us to lunch. So we went to the 10th floor, had to be with our minder. Otherwise, we'd be trapped in an airlock somewhere. And then we went up. It was beautiful and super high tech. We went to the 10th floor, and they had a corporate dining room. And it reminded me, like I've been to different dining rooms at different corporations over the years. And this was really cool. Everybody was it was as you'd expect, kind of wearing hoodies and casual pants and stuff. And very casual and relaxed. The food that day was a North African theme. So they had couscous and tabbouleh and chickpeas and all different kinds of like giant carrots that had some kind of seasoning, and I tried it all. Lots and lots of veggies. It was really delicious. And then they had a station that was for Mexican food or Tex-Mex. I tried they had some Tex-Mex Brussels sprouts. They were good. But anyway, the food is amazing. And as we ate, it's all like you could look out, you could see a view of Chicago and the big long tables and then little booths and stuff. Then we went down to the meeting rooms, and it was really quite interesting. It was very well organized, lots of high tech, as you would expect. And then we were in emissions control as a theme, and then you had other people that were in different conference rooms, and they were, I guess basically we were a use case. So they meet with people that have use cases. So we didn't talk really so much about Google Classroom or learning, but we talked about using the different geospatial platforms and databases. So the Google products in that way, Google Earth. But then I was thinking about Google Classroom, and that's not a bad way to get people to at least do the basics of understanding what things are. And so you could obviously have some build in some learning modules. They would be pretty low tech, but because Google Classrooms, it's pretty user friendly in the sense that it's easy to use, but it doesn't really do much.
It's actually free, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty incredible. I've
yeah,
never used
it is.
Google
And so
Classroom. I've seen demos of it.
I've used it. Um, and it's really wonderful if you have everybody who's working like um, it's fantastic because you can integrate in all the Google Suite stuff. So you can integrate
Mm,
in um, Google like Docs and Sheets and all that. It's not so great if you're working with military or certain corporations because they can't use Google, and so that's one
okay.
of the reasons like people don't really use Google Meet or they use um, they use Teams, and the same kind of applies to Zoom. But it's good though.
That's good. Sounds like the building was pretty interesting.
It was super interesting
Yeah,
to me. That was like I was so excited to be inside.
that's interesting. Well, so you had your experience in the belly.
I did.
Yeah, I've never been to theirs. I've been to Adobe's building. That was pretty cool. They had
Oh wow,
it was
wow.
it was neat. I've been to their corporate a couple of times, and it's nice.
Hmm.
It was nice. It was. I don't know if it's still the same. I think they're still in the same building. It was multi-level building. You've got multi-levels underneath for parking. Traffic jam.
Hmm.
It's a traffic jam in the afternoon, but it's a cool
Oh, oh my
building, and there's a corridor that goes on every single floor all around the outside. So you can walk around. You can do a walking circuit just in that building, going around. It's a whole block or two, and that was kind of
God,
neat. And then you go into the individual
yeah.
either areas you want to go to, development or presentation. You have a lot of presentation rooms. It was a lot of fun. It was nice to go and
Was it in
visit.
San Francisco?
Yeah,
Was it in San Francisco area,
that
Bay
was
Area?
in more like San Jose,
Oh, okay, okay.
right
Yeah,
downtown San Jose, a couple blocks from where some of the major like the Marriotts and the I think Four Seasons are, things like that.
well, there's a big advantage to going to the San Jose airport versus San Francisco airport.
True, true.
And yeah, which I okay. So I went. So one of the that I went with, Tara Argo, who's a friend of mine. She's represents tribal interests and cleanup and stuff, and she works with a lot of different tribes. So she lives in Norman. So she picked me up. We decided to take a 5:40 a.m. flight to Midway on Southwest, and then come back the same day, rather than messing with having to stay
Sure.
somewhere and all that. Well, it was a good idea until 3 a.m. when she picks me up, 3:30 a.m.
Uh,
But everything was super smooth. Got to Midway, and then we hung around there a little bit, worked, had coffee, then went to our meeting, and it was late morning, no traffic, so it was like $36 Uber. That was great. Not so great coming back.
mm,
So Uber, instead of being 100 or 36, it was 102 without
wow.
tip.
Just
And it
just
took
because of traffic.
yeah, but instead of 22 minutes, it took um,
Hmm.
over an hour. And we went ahead and did it, even though we could have had dinner down there because there were so many events going on. Figured even at 7, it would be late and take a long
Yeah.
time and probably be the same amount. And there's just like more anxiety.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
we got there and everything was good.
Yep. It's all fun. Well, anyway, I guess that's it for today's show, and then we will be back. I'm not sure if we'll be back with this show next week, but in a couple of weeks, and we'll have probably one of the vendors that were at the show. We'll do some more vendor shows to find out what they're doing and what kind of products they're rolling out, and see how it can benefit people. So, Susan, again, we will see you next week. I know we've got 2 Life Ed shows next week, so they should be fun, and just have a good week. And today's actually Veterans Day, which I thought was celebrated on Monday. Boy, was I wrong. It's
Oh,
today.
right,
So
right.
we're calling
Yes.
everybody. Nobody's around.
I know. I was surprised too, but it's this Friday, and then tomorrow's the actual
Tomorrow's the
Veterans Day.
actual day. Yep. I
And
forgot that
today is Marine's birthday.
today.
Yeah, U.S. Marine Corps'
That's when they
birthday.
were started.
Yeah, 248 years.
Wow.
My son is a Marine,
Semper Fi,
former Marine.
right?
Yeah.
Your son was in the Marines, right?
Yes, yes, he's a former Marine. He
No,
graduated a
no, no.
year
There's no
early.
such thing as a former Marine. You know that. That's what they
Well,
all say.
that's true. He says that to me all the time.
Yep. Anyway, well, have a good one. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. And for all you people watching, I hope you enjoyed it. And we will see you next time on eLearnChat. Have a good one. Take care.
Thank you.